my body becomes like a cement. Oh my God.
That was the better one.
Okay. Oh my God. It's like magic. Literally like magic.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo Buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for life.
Healing through connections.
I was dancing so hard, my earring came out.
Okay, Miss Barbara J. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm doing better now. It feels like I'm in the groove. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well now.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning, turned on my computer, and had no internet.
Oh, okay.
And so I, did all the things that I now know to do, unplug. So did that twice. Turn it back on, said you still have connection issues. Okay, well, so now I'm going to call the company. So I called the company. And she said, well, your bill hasn't been paid. I said, well, that's not possible. I have an automatic payment that just automatically comes out.
Yeah.
She says, well, let me see. She said, oh, well, did you change they've changed their payment schedule, payment methods, I guess. So I had to update my account, and I did that a couple of days ago. Okay, fine. Well, I said, well, why do I have no internet today? She said, oh, it takes 4 days to update, and your bill was due like today. And I went, oh, so no internet. So she said, I can help you with this. I said, oh, good, because I'm doing a podcast in less than an hour. I need my internet. So we love technology when it works, and we love technology when it doesn't. But she was very nice, and she said, oh yeah, it sometimes takes 4 days. And I went, yeah, I don't have 4 days. I need like 50 minutes.
We need to rush this.
We need to rush this. So I just said, so I think what I ended up doing was just making an extra payment, which is fine. I mean, it's no big thing. But it was just the funniness of it. She says, oh, yeah, that takes 4 days. Yeah, and I only did it 2 days ago. So, yeah. Oh, well. But anyway, so that was my morning. However, this is, we normally don't talk about days and stuff and times in our podcast. However, this is the last of our June, of our celebration month, because we have been on the air for 3 years this month.
Yes. 3 years. 3 whole years.
Yep. And I mean, little did we know.
Yeah.
However, so what I thought I would do is I would share some other things that were also fun or momentous or just really historical things that also happened in June.
Oh,
so are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. You got the good stuff.
Okay, this one you know me. I love a little bit of history.
Mm-hmm.
So, the signing of the Magna Carta.
Oh, okay, you're really starting.
Signing of the Magna Carta happened in June, but what year? I was like, huh? No clue.
What year? Ooh. Was it?
It was King John of England. It was King. We have to thank King John of England.
King John of England. Okay.
King John of England, and why it was so momentous is that I think this is one of the things that we are losing in our history. That kids are not being taught, which kind of goes along with what our guest is going to be talking about too, of kids that aren't being taught the same things. Mm-hmm. But this was when the Magna Carta was when that the king was also, even the king was going to be subject to the law. Mm. So what it did was it laid the foundation for the things that we take for granted now, our individual rights, our individual liberties, especially here in the U.S. But it was signed in 1215.
1215? Oh, I would have been off. Because I was thinking about like 1600 or something. No, I was way off.
1215, way back then.
Wow.
But 1215.
1215.
So something a little bit closer to us, and I think this is just absolutely cool, women's suffrage.
So what year?
What year?
You said it's closer. Okay, so
much closer.
Like 2009?
Nope. When women got the right to vote.
Oh, okay. Was it? Well, okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't explain it properly. Yeah, when the U.S. Constitution passed, Congress passed that women could vote.
I know that was like, what was that, like in the 1900s?
It was 1919.
Ooh, okay. I was a little bit closer. 1900s.
So really, 104 years ago. That's it.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
Haven't we come a long way?
Came a whole
long way.
And hope it doesn't go backwards. I mean, I just put it out there. I just, I get nervous because certain laws are getting stripped back. So,
and so many of the crazy things that are happening.
Yeah.
colleges are shutting down.
I know, just in Wisconsin alone, they're talking about 6 or 7 of them are shutting down. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they've been in business. I mean, they've been in, years. They've been years. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, because people are not going to school.
They're not going. They're choosing not to go to school.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 2 more. One of them is the groundbreaking of why you and I can talk to each other today. That you're in Wisconsin, I'm in Illinois, and we have guests on from all over the world. Okay, the Telegraph linked New York and Boston in June in 1847.
Oh, okay.
1847. The Telegraph linked New York and Boston from Samuel Morse.
Yes, yeah.
He sent the first official message.
Wow. It's funny how from New York to Boston, those two.
Yeah. And look at where we are today. I mean, I can talk to people on my watch.
I know. I mean, it's just yes.
I mean,
there's no excuse. I mean, there's no excuse, Barbara. You can talk to people any kind of way now.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk on. So then the other thing is, can you see it?
Is that a pen?
It's a ballpoint pen.
Okay.
When did Gillette received the patent? Guess what year?
Okay. Is this closer to us?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was really surprised when I researched this. I mean,
let me see. Maybe 1968. I mean, no, 1996.
No, you were closer. 1978.
1978. Okay.
They received the patent for a ballpoint pen, and I mean that was just huge. Can you imagine? I mean, I can't imagine. And how often do you just bust them out? It's out. Back in the day, I mean, writing with
the feather,
a quill, with a quill.
They had to always dip.
Dip. And that's why, right? And that's why when you see original, that's why the writing, the calligraphy was so spotty. Because the pen was running out of ink, and then it would have a big blob, and then blobs, and you would see blobs on everything. Wow.
Yeah, and then just think of yourself writing with a feather, a tip of a feather. That that's alone right there is kind of scratchy.
And the thing is, you had to make your feathers. You had to make your quills. Okay. I mean, the end of a quill is not pointed. You had to whittle the quill.
Wow.
Can you imagine the things we take for granted now? That I was like, and I love doing things like this, just because it makes it, for me personally, it just makes me so appreciative, so grateful of I have friends all over the world that I've really never met. But we've met, but we're great friends because we know each other on Zoom.
Yeah.
And it would have been for Samuel Morse sending a message across a telegraph.
You wouldn't even,
How far we have come. How far we have come. And yet in some ways we're going backwards, I think. One of the things that I work with so often is with people that are dealing with the effects of stress. And we don't think of stress as being a huge thing. It is. It's when you're feeling overwhelmed or you've got so much to do and not enough time to do it.
Yes.
And what happens is we are creating to-do lists for ourselves, which is good to remind yourself. But are you living by your to-do list?
Mm-hmm.
That your to-do list is so long that you have absolutely no hope of getting it done in a day or whatever, however your to-do list is. And it's like, I've gotten to the point now where I have a continuous to-do list that I look at every once in a while just as a reminder. But in the morning, I sit down and take time. Okay, what are the 3 major things that I need to do today?
I was going to say that's what I do. So I have my little, I always say the old school, that old school. And I say action items, date, and then I put 3, just it. I used to put like 6 and 10, and I would get upset every day, Barbara, every day, because I would never get through the 10 or get through the 5. And I was like, no, this is crazy. Why am I'm doing this to myself?
Exactly. It's our choice. I was listening to a thing on from Stephen Covey yesterday, and on the 7 habits of highly effective people. Well, the first thing is taking action. Well, our action is utilizing our choice. That's the first action. And he took this whole thing is that utilizing our human choice. Something can happen. If it's something that we cannot control, the only thing that we can control is the response. In the middle, so he had like 2 things. This is the circumstance, this is the response. In between this little bridge is our choice of how we are going to either respond or we are going to react. And so often, I mean, hey, and I'm speaking to myself here. How often do I react with, instead of going, all right, Barb, take a moment, take a breath.
Like you always say.
Take a breath. And then sit back and say, okay, I have no control over this. The only thing that I can control is how I respond to it.
Yeah. And you got to ask the question too, are you going to let it dictate your peace in yourself? And I have really been working, I'm telling you, really been working hard on that, Barbara, where, things around me might be, like you said, and you can control it. But I'm like, no, I have to keep my inner peace here because that's going to help me respond more so than react. Yeah.
Right. And I think part of it was, and one of the things that he went into too, is that we want others to see our point of view, always. Well, you know what? Not everybody thinks the way you do.
No.
And yet, in every conversation, the other person is 10% right. They've done the statistics on it. In every conversation, you can have 2 people that are diabolically opposed, having opposed viewpoints, and yet both of them have at least 10%. So let's focus on the 10% that we could possibly just come together instead of being so out there with each other. Let's come back to that little bridge of this is you, this is me. What's in between here? There is common ground.
Wow, that's interesting. But I was just thinking, just thinking on the side of the fence there, that there's so much they want to be so much of the 90%, the 10, and then that's where you lose, the whole learning curve with each other. Yeah,
exactly. If you will only focus on your 90%, then you can never ever be open to that 10% that gee, maybe you're right. Maybe in this little small section. So once you find that little 10%, well, guess what? You can impact so much other stuff. Because, maybe that 10% will lead to something else, and maybe it'll be 12%.
Yeah. And sometimes I think some people find out that 10% maybe sometimes after the fact, because I'm just going to be honest, sometimes it happens to me.
Tell me about it.
The conversation be done, maybe hours pass, even a day or 2 pass. And you think back, you're like, well, they did have a point.
They did. and that's where it comes down to, like I always call it, fess up then go on. That's part of my process that I try to get across to people. Fess up. Okay, gee, you know what? Oh, yeah, I guess they could have been right in that. So now if you can admit that, go back, apologize, and say, you know what? I might have been a little harsh and didn't take the time to see the 10% that is right. It's part of positive intelligence. They've studied it, that in every conversation, every situation, the other person is 10% right.
Wow.
And it was just a really interesting, because it just shows you where could we go with world peace if we could embrace that. Here's you, here's me, but here's that little 10% bridge right there on the edges of our thumbnails.
And if you'd really be just going to the extra step, like you just said, when you think about it, say, they could have been right. I feel like they were right at that point. And then going back, like you said, and saying, you know what, I just have to apologize to you.
Yeah.
That, we were all in that moment. And then I had a chance to step back and think about it. I just want to make sure that that, yeah, you did have some points. You had some
points.
Yeah.
And what would that do for world peace if we could admit
Oh, boy.
If we could do that.
So much.
And I think one of the things, that's what I'm excited to have Carol come on, because that's one of the things that I think was what happens to kids. They get so caught up in, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And they're so it's like, and then they don't know what to do. So they don't do anything. And then they shut down. And then they're not thriving. They're not, they're not going on. Here's us as adults that we have those moments. That, ooh, yike, Barbara, that wasn't that. Yeah, you could have reacted a little bit better. And even with ourselves, with ourselves.
Yes.
Because I truly believe that we beat ourselves up where needlessly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always tell people, I said, I need to make sure I don't self-sabotage myself, because I'm always beating myself up, because I'm hard on myself. Exactly. I've been that way for a while, so that's something I really have to work on, taking that habit a little bit more, of not doing that.
Yeah, of just saying, okay, yeah, okay, and the thing is, that's where my fess up. Okay, Barbie, yeah, you messed up. Take the heat. You did it, and if that means apologizing, looking at yourself in the mirror and going, you know what, you could have handled that better. Apologize to the other person, but then go on, let it go. Because if you bury it, that's where trauma comes in. When we try to bury those things that we perceive as being so bad, and it beats us down. Well, guess what? When we do that, I was an emotional stuffer for years. Most of my life, I was an emotion stuffer, just going, oh, well, that's okay. I'm good. Well, then guess what? Those have to go somewhere. Those emotions go somewhere. And they will erupt at the worst possible moments.
Yeah.
And it's usually when we're talking to somebody who has an opposing viewpoint. And that's when we forget that in every conversation, 10% is right. That little bridge there.
It's interesting you said that about, where, you'll be an emotional stuffer, and then like pops at any time, and sometimes it's usually the wrong time. And I was talking to a friend of mine a few days ago regarding that, and she's been, dealing with some family trouble, and it's been going on for a while. And I could even see from the outside looking in. I said, she's gonna pop. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen. I kept telling her she needs to let that out, because it's going to. So she, didn't listen. Sometimes we don't listen, right? And then she calls me and said, Barbara, remember when you told me that it's gonna come out? She said, well, it came out in the wrong time at a family gathering, and I just basically lost it with everybody and just went off, and felt bad. But she said, Barbara, guess what? I felt bad because it happened at the wrong time. I knew it did, but then I felt more free afterward. I said, I know
exactly.
So I told her, I said, own the fact that you finally released it.
Right.
I know you didn't release it in the right manner that you wanted to.
Exactly.
But at least I'm glad that you didn't hurt nobody.
Right. Or hurt ourselves.
It hurt yourself.
Ourselves.
Yeah. Or just, but, just sometimes it just takes, I'm sorry I went off, but, I was dealing with some stuff. Excuse me. But I'm just glad it came out. But that was an example of, when you keep things so in you never know. Right. And I wanted to talk to her out of that because after that, she was feeling so bad about that. Then she was going in another, downfall.
Exactly. It's a downward spiral.
Yeah. And I didn't need her to go down the other spiral. I needed her to just keep that freedom of let it
out. Let it go.
Let it go.
That's fess up, take the heat, and then let it go.
She let it go. She said, well, Barbara, the only person I apologize is my husband. She said, everybody. I didn't get to everybody just yet, but I apologize.
Right, exactly. And start with a baby step. Start with a baby.
But after she apologized, she to him, he's like, well, he said the same thing. He said, well, tell Barbara I was on the same page when she was on. He said, I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when.
You don't know when. Yeah, and I think and I think Carol can address this too, is I think that's what happens to college kids, is they don't know how to handle something and they don't know where to go to get help, and they feel like they have to do it on their own. Well, the what's wrong with me that I'm not, or they turn to partying. So I think that would be a great.
They turn, and even with that, because you're talking. I know we want to bring on Queen Carol in a minute here, but you go back to partying in college. I have a little secret. I'm gonna let it out. You know how you always say, I'm gonna fess up.
Yes, hey, yeah, fess up.
When I was much younger, when it was in my college years, about to go to college, I always wanted to go away to college.
Okay.
And I didn't want, because I was, I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, Northside Chicago and everything. And, we all knew each other and I've been all over the place, Chicago. So I was like, I want to expand. I want to, now's my time to get out there. And I'm telling you, there was two reasons. One, just want to get away.
Right.
Maybe my mother, but that's another road. And I did want to party sometimes.
Exactly.
I used to see the things on the TV and the shows where the college students and stuff, and I'm like, they look like they's having a nice time with sororities and all that stuff. I said, you know what, I want to experience that. Well, didn't get experience and had to wind up staying in Chicago because mama drama.
Exactly.
I was like, you can't go out of town. I don't trust you. She was just going on. Maybe she knew that I was, I don't know. But till this day, I always felt like, I just would want to experience that college life that was, outside of the, that just experienced that. I feel like every young person should experience something, not get to the point, like you said, Barbara, that you just, get wasted all the time and not go to class.
Exactly.
But just experience life. Just get out there, meet people, and get to have fun, Because I had to wind up working during the day and going to college at night. So the only fun I had is when I got some sleep. But with that, we're gonna hear from our Queen Carol about college students and how she is just an awesome person. Now, Barbara, you always meet the best. You do it. You always hit it right on the nail with that. So before we meet Queen Carol, we're going to have our sponsor, and then we'll be right back.
When you do nothing, nothing happens. Best time to take action is now.
This is the time to work on you and your business.
So I've created a group, an online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen. See you in Power Partners.
Okay, here she is. Ta-da!
Hello.
Uh-oh. Hello, Queen.
Can you hear me? Can you see me? Hey.
We can do that.
We can hear you and see you. The Queen is here.
Awesome. It's so great to be with the Barbaras this morning.
Yeah.
And Barbara Beckley, we connected maybe 2 years ago. There was I can't remember Ebony's last name, but it was
oh yeah.
Yes, I can't.
When you said Ebony, yes. You too. I think you were a speaker, right?
I was, yeah.
It's a small world. We just came back.
It's such a small world. It is such a small world. I tell folks you got to behave because you never know somebody. Right? I could be a total something to you and you'll be like, oh, that Carol Ben Davies.
or vice versa. I could have been like,
oh no, you were so kind. I remember. So I'm really excited to be talking to both of you. I was laughing in the green room as you were talking about wanting to go off to college because of what you saw on TV. Because that's what we get, right? That's our image of what college is. If we haven't been on a college campus, what we see is often what we expect college to be like, right? It's like fun. Everyone just seemed to be, just having a good time. I think the most realistic, and still to this day, the most realistic collegiate experience displayed on TV is A Different World. And it for me, I didn't go to a historically Black university. I went to a predominantly white institution, but even the situations, the interactions, and then when I became an administrator and they were showing the dean of students, I was like, oh my God, like that's what I am now. I was an assistant dean of students, but like the whole aspect of college life, you just kind of no one prepares you for what it really is about. And so that's why I started College Bound Determination. And I say that I help prepare students and families for the realities of college, right? Like no one tells you about all that studying that needs to happen. No one talks to you about that roommate conflict situation. When you're talking about the drama, all the family drama that happens, family drama doesn't stop because you step foot on the college campus. Like they still calling you with all the stuff and you might have to send money home. My sister was reminding me the other day that I actually used to send home money. And I was just like, I did? And I did, times were hard then, right? And it was just very interesting that we just don't share what really happens. And because of this, I feel that's what sets up a lot of students for failure, in my opinion. We just act like everything's gonna be awesome. And then when it's not, there's just so much going on. So I can't wait to get really into it with y'all.
Yes. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Carol, because like you said, I was even thinking, I used to, like you said, Different World. I was buff on 90210. I used to watch that, and I used to see all this college stuff, and I was like, dang, I missed out. And then people's like, Barbara, you have that, then you have reality. Right. So you have to look at that. And I'm glad that there's people like you, Carol, that's out there helping, like Barbara said earlier, the people that are going into college or thinking about going to college to really get them prepared in all aspects.
All aspects.
Yeah.
All aspects. Yeah. And I think today we need to think about college as being more than just where 18 to 25-year-olds go, right? There are many more people who are adults who are going back to college. And so even with the way that we market and we talk about college, we're losing a whole segment, or we're not marketing to a whole segment of people who could be very successful in college, whether they're doing it in person or whether they're doing it online. but college is not just for the young person who wants to get away from their family and they want to go and party. I worked with a lot of adult learners, we call them, and they're balancing work and life and family and classes. And when I finally had children myself, that's when I really started to appreciate just what went into being what they call a non-traditional student. Those parents who had responsibilities on top of going to school, because my kids were young and I would just get home and just be so tired. And to think that's what some students were experiencing, and they had classes and assignments and papers and things to prepare for the next day. So yes, I just I want us to have a more broad conversation about both what is college. I think it's more than just the 4-year institution. It's 2 years, trade, community college, and then who is a college student needs to be expanded as well. As I mentioned, there are a lot of adults who want to go to college or go back and finish what they started. So I work with a lot of students who they partied a little bit too hard. They partied too hard. They wanted to party more than they studied. And as a result, they had to go home. They were academically dismissed from the institution. But I also had a chance to work with some of those students who came back years later, who got more mature, who understood why they were there, not just because mom and daddy told you to. They had more of an internal drive to be there. And I saw those students being very successful, coming back and finishing what they started. So I just love it. I think college is a great place. It's not the only place you can learn and grow, but it's definitely one of the safest places to make some stupid mistakes in life and have people like college administrators like myself to really help you understand, just some of the decisions and why you did what you did and what can you learn from it. It was much more of an educational learning experience when things happened.
Yes. Yes, I know for myself, I just go back to, I went to college when I first got out of high school. That's when I did working during the day and then night. And then I got my degree. And then when I got in my late 30s, I went back because I see when I was working, because I've been working in insurance like forever. And I was trying to, get in that leadership role. And they were like, well, you need the degree in this, or you need it. I was like, okay, now I got to go back. First, I was just like kicking and screaming, like, okay, I went through my 4 years. Why do I got to do this again? But then I thought about, okay, Barbara, this is good for you because this is adding on skills.
Yeah.
And even if you don't stay where you're at, you'll have that other piece of paper showing that you have, proof that you went through this particular degree. So I went back and I did online the second time around. I did all online.
Yeah.
But when I graduated, which I love how the colleges do, is that they, I went to the in-person graduation.
But
so it was nice to, and I would tell people, if they're doing that, go to the in-person graduate if you can, because you made that, you did it. You basically did it all. Just because you did it online, you need to celebrate yourself. So I always tell people, if you can, try to go in person if they have that. Yeah.
And I think online, I think people may dismiss it as it might be easier, but oh my goodness, I don't think so at all. tell it, Barbara. It is not easier. It is not easier. It's a lot
more. It's more.
Yes. And I think, a lot of students might have even realized that when because of the pandemic, much of their education turned online. And they had to have much more internal drive to complete assignments and to get things done. It's not the easy route, right? So please don't ever think, oh, they went the easy route because they did it online. I think it takes a lot more discipline to do it. But I mean, both aspects. You really have to be very focused and have a lot of discipline to reach this goal of higher education attainment. I mean, there's no easy route at all, in my opinion.
And one of the things for me, I think college a little bit now, because of online, has changed, not directions, but like for me, I didn't have a traditional college education, but my certification classes, I've got certificates on the wall, and went to the live graduation and had the ceremonies, and because I mean it was 4 years of getting my coaching credentials, and it was like, yeah, I didn't go to college per se, but yeah, did the work. It is, and it absolutely, it is more challenging because of self-discipline, and because my grandkids, like, I would be in the middle of a class or a test or something, and they would come in and go, "Gee, Grammy," you know, and it was like, oh wow, yeah, okay, yeah, sweetie, I'm in a class right now. It was like, you just be real. Okay, yeah, this happened. So yeah, I think the online people, I think we have to give ourselves a little bit, and you write it. I have to tell you, right until this moment, sometimes I forgot that, you know what? Yeah, it was challenging to do it online, but
absolutely,
I have my credentials and.
Absolutely. And I think I got one of my certifications online. I am certified in the Myers-Briggs. It's the Strong Interest Inventory.
Oh, they're right.
Through Myers-Briggs organization. And it was online. And it was, you had your syllabus, you had when you're supposed to be complete, like when you were supposed to be past a certain point, and life was getting in the way. And it was like, if you don't finish this, you're not going to, not only the time that you already invested in it, the money that you already invested in it could go away. So I had to like buckle down, but I am someone who really thrives off of other people and just, bouncing off ideas. And so for me, that made me realize, oh, wow, this online learning is different. But some students thrive in that environment. They don't want to be around a lot of people, and the convenience and time. You definitely can't beat that. So, I'm in a lot of spaces where I hear, there's always this either or, this way is better or that place is better. I'm not about that. I think there's just so many opportunities, and I just really want people to seize whatever opportunity works best for them.
Yeah, bingo. I mean, when I was younger, it was nice to do the in-person. I mean, back then, okay, I'm telling my age, but going in person that was the thing. But now, I got older and stuff, and then I'm working and all that and doing other things in my own business. It's more convenient for me to do online than it was before, when I didn't have as much responsibility, that I can get out and go to class and didn't have to worry about the drive and all that. But yeah, and I'm glad that colleges, they had to go with the times. They had to be relevant with the times and say, okay, you know what? There is going to be a lot of people doing online now. We can't all do in person anymore. So I'm glad that opened up, because that would take a lot of opportunities away if it wasn't done that way.
I think people. There's a lot to be said about the negative aspects of COVID and what it did to our world. But I think it also opened up a lot of opportunities that may not have been considered in the past, right? A lot of people now understanding, again, the opportunities and the flexibility that online learning provides. And I thought it might have helped some students because, if you have sort of this asynchronous aspect of learning, you can always go back to the lesson. So if you want to hear something more than once, you have that opportunity, which I thought that might have been of benefit. I know when I was doing my certification, to be able to go back to the lesson and slow it down and like, okay, let me make sure that I understood that properly. You can't pause the professor in real time.
Exactly. I am so glad.
If you do, your classmates will be like, "Can you be quiet? Let him, them speak." Right. So it's got, again, its pros and I'm again just grateful that opportunities exist, because we know that those who have college degrees, as you were mentioning, Barbara, it definitely opens up opportunities for advancement in your career, right? I'm sure that degree also increased your salary, right? So there's so many people who are missing out on that career advancement because they don't have a college degree, right? And what I'm so saddened by is how many people have some college credits but don't have the degree. and they're still paying on college loans. There are millions. There's been a report that just came out a couple of months ago, just talking about the millions of Americans in this country who went to college, have transcripts full of credit, but don't have a degree, and they're not able to take advantage of the career advancements that a college degree would have, that would afford them. And so there's so many opportunities for those individuals to come back and finish what they started. Some universities are making it easier than others in that process. And so I've actually posted about it on my Facebook page and had a former student reach out. And what I discovered is it is not easy to figure out how to come back. So if I can send any message out to anyone who is in higher ed, please look at your processes and see how easy you're making it for students who left your institution and are wanting to come back, but don't know what questions to even ask, where to start, and how to finish. Please make it easier for them, because this is a low-hanging fruit. We're already very concerned about the lack of students who are graduating, or the decrease in numbers of high school students graduating and wanting to go to college. We have millions of people who already understand the value of college, almost done with their degrees. They just need to finish it. So make it easier for them. If anyone is listening, that is my biggest message this year. Just seeing how one student just wants to finish and just is having or has had a hard time getting that process completed. So.
Yeah, especially if they have like maybe 4 credits or 3 credits to go, and then they'll have their degree. And then, like you said, they're paying the loan if they got loans, and they're paying them, and they can't nothing to show for it really, except I got these credits and I got to get just a few more to get the degree. So, it's like, no. I mean, I would be like every day saying, I got to find somewhere to get these credits.
Yeah, I talked to someone recently, and they were maybe a semester away from having a completed degree. Just a semester, 12 credits, almost done. And they've been out for maybe 20 years. So they've been able to get that process started, but that's a long time. And again, we really, I call myself a college success coach and strategist. I primarily work with the younger population, but if anyone has any questions about how to navigate college, like, I am your person. Just look me up. I'm happy to help. There's a lot of terms and processes and policies and procedures that can be very intimidating. And, I do my best, to help with that.
Yeah, you need a lot more people like you, Carol, for the young, like you said, for the young, and for, like you said, us as older trying to go back. I mean, this is something that's really important.
There's so many people out there, and that's how I got started, really. I have a background in undergraduate admissions. I went to UNC Chapel Hill, and I did undergraduate admissions, helping students to get into the college, talking in all places about what universities look for. And I noticed after moving through higher ed in various positions, that there are a lot of people, a lot of resources helping students to get into college. There's just, even when you look on the high school website and you look at their college counseling section, you'll often find information about admissions. You'll find information about financial aid and for scholarships. And then it's like, okay, you're going to college. Good luck. And I'm just like, no, please be more strategic about it, right? It's not just the getting in that matters. And there are just not enough of us. There's this, a lot of times people feel like, oh, competition, I don't want somebody in my space to do the same thing. Please, if you have a desire, do this as well. I cannot help all the millions of people who need the help. I am full of abundance. Hey, go Tar Heels. I am a firm believer that there is just abundance everywhere, that we don't have to be so like, this is mine and I can't share this resource. let it go. And I really do hope that this conversation, if someone is in the college admission space, there's enough people out there. There's enough people helping kids get into college. There are enough people helping them with the essays, how to get scholarships. And I have a plug I need to mention when I finish my sentence. There's enough people out there doing that, but there are not enough. And I think the assumption is when they get to college, someone like me, a college administrator, is going to help them, right? However, what often happens is students, it's really easy to hide in your dorm room, right? It's really easy to be struggling and not tell anybody. So one of the reasons that I started to do this is because when I was working in a position, after working on the same campus with the top student leaders on that campus, I was moved over to another area where students were coming in with challenges academically, socially, emotionally, financially, and it just was nonstop. And every conversation, whether it was across all demographics, across all socioeconomic status, whether they were first generation or multi-generation, we were having very similar conversations, basically about how hard college was and how no one told them and how this wasn't what they expected. And I don't really know why I'm here beyond this is what I was told I should do, right? And I just thought, wow, this is something. And then when I just had my kids, and I had always called parents who were sitting in my office, like these helicopter parents, and oh my gosh, why are they in my office? Or why are they on my phone? And then when I had my own kids, I was just like, oh, okay, that's why. This is why. And I really, my college bound determination is a gift. It is a apology to parents because you think that you are prepared. You think you're doing the right thing. When we bought this house, they were like, oh, do you want to be in this school district? This is a good school district. But when they graduate from high school, these girls were like 2 years old and under, right? That we were already thinking about their college and what opportunities will provide. So you have these parents who thought they did all the right things that realized that there was so much more that no one told them about, right? So my goal is to really just share there's so much more to this, right? And so going back to help the people who help students find money for college, I do know that is a barrier for many families, right? They want to go, but college is so expensive. Well, I am so proud to say that I am a co-author in a book that's going to be released in July, and it's called "You Can Go to College for Free."
Oh. I gotta find that book.
Yes. I'll have to drop the if you go to bit.ly/author Carol, you'll find the link for the pre-sale that we're doing. But I know that's a big barrier. I can't deny that is not an important aspect of the college journey, but it's not the only part of the journey. Getting in is not the only part. You have so many things that will come and impact a student's success, right? A lot of it is their mindset, right? If you have limiting beliefs about who you are and what you're capable of, that is absolutely going to impact how successful you are in the classroom. Many students that I work with, these are very high achieving students. They started to have, whether you believe in this term or not, imposter syndrome in terms of, I am no longer that star student. I'm no longer number one. I'm not getting the grades that I used to get. Maybe I'm not good enough, right? We don't think about how much that impacts someone, right? When they are always used to excelling and all of a sudden they're not. That identity crisis that happens, and it happens really quickly. And if they're not able to talk through it with someone, they can stay in their heads. And we know that our thoughts control everything. It controls what we say. It controls what we do. It controls our destiny, right? If we are not able to get into their heads well before they get to campus and tell them these things are going to happen, are likely to happen to you or maybe a friend, and it's normal. It's okay. There are people who can help you. You have so many students who, they make very, oh, yes. Yes, I was at my last institution, in a week span, I lost three people. It was my cousin, good friend of mine, two good friends of mine. And I was not in the area of the Dean of Students office where I eventually was working. And I said to a colleague, I said, oh my goodness, this is really hard. What happens for students when they lose somebody in their family? And they said, well, it really depends on the professor. And some professors make it easy and they will let them make up the work. But some, you had to choose whether you're going to be with your grieving family or take a failing grade for an assignment that you might miss. And I said, oh, that is unacceptable. And at the time, I was an advisor for our student government, and I told the presidents this situation. These students were so amazing. They galvanized the administration, they galvanized other students, and they passed a policy called the grief absence policy. And that policy allowed students to be able to be with their families and not have to stress about whether they're going to miss an assignment or not. And I was, every time a student came into my office, and I'm so sorry for this person who mentioned that their parent passed away their freshman year. That happened almost every day, where I was saying my condolences, where we had to talk to the students about utilizing the grief absence policy. And I always was grateful to be able to tell another student that it was because of students they have this policy. And they also passed one for students who had to go and serve. So they would have an excuse absence to be able to do what they had to do, or to be able to grieve the way that they needed to grieve. It's never enough time, because we all know I'm actually this is the anniversary week of when I went to go visit my aunt before she passed away. And they told us that she had months, and in fact, she only had days. And so this month of June, I was reflecting on my Facebook page, and this month of June is just a constant reminder of who's not here. And with college students, this is a time in their life when they're dealing with grief for the first time, right? Some of them, I remember this one student who, they got a call that someone passed away, and they automatically thought it was their grandmother, when in fact it was their father. Can you imagine? And there are situations where both parents have passed. There were just so many things that students experience, that it's more than what we talk to them about. More than what we prepare them for. We don't even think about the necessity of having these kind of conversations of, life is not promised. What happens if I'm not here? Financially, who's going to be taking care of my education? And if you have those conversations, not in a, doom and gloom and in a very dreadful kind of way, but just the reality of life. This is what I want you to know. This is what I want you to do. That just relieves, so much stress that they will have to experience. These students go through so much on top of being a college student. And so without talking about the life aspect of things, we're just missing out on being able to prepare them for what possibly can happen that can be a stumbling block in the goals that they're trying to achieve. So I call myself preparing students for the realities, and then didn't know that as an administrator, we can really anticipate per month, per week, what's going to likely to happen that they just need to know about. And so I try my best to just, with my clients, help them know, okay, around this time of year, you might be feeling homesick. It's okay. These are some things we can do about that. What are some ideas you have? Okay, around this time, you're going to get your first assignment. It could go really well, or it could go really bad. Your grades do not define you. You are more than your grades. Failure is just feedback. Around this time, your roommate is going to get on your last nerve. Just kind of letting them know these are the kind of the cycles that happen, so that they can be more prepared. Like, why wouldn't you want that? Right? Why don't we? And with so many people, they're just like, oh, they'll figure it out. No, that's not me. I don't want to just figure it out. I want to have as much information as possible so I can make a really good decision on what I want to do, how I want to do it. I equated to when I had children. My sister's a pediatrician, and she just gave me so much information that I felt, and then a good friend of mine has twins. And so I just felt really prepared. They were like, my friend with the twins, she didn't give me all the frilly, the cutesy outfit. She was like, look, your baby might get a fever in the middle of the night. Here's some medicine, just kind of like that proactive support. And if you're proactive, you can really just alleviate the stresses that happen.
Yes, definitely. Well, Carol, you are just see, we got to bring her back, Barbara. Over time.
After your book's out.
Yes. So, Carol, thank you so much for coming on, lady. We do need to bring you back. You are amazing. Just to put back how to contact you. And while I'm doing that, Barbara, I just want you to close out by what you always say, lady, with our show.
Let's make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And it applies to all of us. Let's be happy.
Let's be happy. And as Carol said too, preparation is the key, especially when it comes to going to college at any age that you're in. So with that said, thank you, Carol, again for coming on, Queen Carol. And we will see everybody next Tuesday.
See you next time.